staggering news that Queen has broken all records ever for any amount. They've more than doubled the previous high for a band selling their catalog, songs, name, likeness, everything. Queen getting $1.27 billion from Sony Music for their entire operation. Songs, albums, merch, name, likeness, everything. The only thing Sony won't own is if the band does a live performance, the band will still make the money from that. Outside of that, Sony Music basically owns Queen for over $1 billion. The previous high was Bruce Springsteen at less than half, at $500 million. Just unbelievable. And also want to mention this one other time, my dear old friend John Regan, who passed away about a year ago, the tribute show for him is happening tomorrow night in the Poughkeepsie, New York area. It has been moved to a new location, the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. A bunch of artists jamming and paying tribute to John. If you're in that area, be sure to go check that out. It is a free event. Okay, before I go to the phones, though, there is something I wanted to bring up. I mentioned this yesterday about the fluctuation of ticket prices, and this kind of ties in with what Phil Collins said a few minutes ago on the show, where he said he was relieved that his tour, the Leopard Journey tour, seemed to be doing well because a lot of other tours are not. And as I talked about a few days ago, Def Leppard and Journey have toured a lot in the last 15 years especially. I mean, pretty much every summer they are out. Now, not together. Last time they toured together, I think it was 5 years ago, something like that. But they've both, in whatever configuration, have played live a lot. So it's good to know that, according to Phil, sales are doing well. But as we see so often, and as I've been telling you guys for a few years now, the move on buying concert tickets is to wait until as close to the show as possible, even the day of the show, and you will get in at a fraction of the price. This fluctuating ticket pricing thing has become a really, really big deal in recent years. And it's interesting because I feel like it's almost been a little bit under the radar, where when you buy a ticket on Ticketmaster, sure, you have to now check that box that says you agree that the prices might fluctuate, whatever. I think for a long time, people have been checking brutal environment to see a film. Now, I sound like the old man, but I don't care because that's how I've always felt. The only way I go to movies is if it's like weekday, late showing or early showing and nobody's in there. As there's 10 people in there and you can spread out. But anyway, if you want, it's out there right now to check out. This is staggering news. We talked about Queen and that there was discussions and reports that they were about to do one of their huge catalog sell-offs. Something we've talked about a lot with all of these legendary artists who have big catalogs of music and albums, selling everything and essentially cashing out in a huge way. Kiss obviously just did it, $300 million, selling everything to a company called Pop House, name, likeness, records, music, publishing, catalog, everything. The record breaker so far who got the most amount of money for the sell was Bruce Springsteen, who sold for $500 million. Well, Kiss, Bruce, and everyone else is a flea on the ass of Queen. Because Queen, according to Variety, has just finalized a deal selling everything to Sony for $1.27 billion. Billion dollars. Queen has more than doubled the biggest moneymaker yet in terms of an artist selling out. They doubled the Springsteen number. I've told you guys this before. If you don't understand this, I know Queen. Look, in the last 30 years, I said this to Brian May when he was on with us last. In the last 40 years, Queen is bigger now than they've been in the last 40 years in America. But Queen globally is enormous. Every part of this world, this entire planet Earth, Queen are gods. Their music is way more revered than it even is in America. And that, I believe, is reflecting in this number. But now Sony owns the entire Queen empire for $1 billion and change. It includes all of their recordings, everything, their name, their likeness, everything. The only carve-out in the deal is that Sony doesn't get a piece of their live shows. So if Queen continues to tour with Adam Lambert singing, money generated in guarantees for touring are not included in this. Anything else with Queen is, including all the music. The deal took a long time to get done because Disney, back around 2000, bought the Queen catalog at that time. So obviously, people who have owned parts of it, they need to be paid in all of this as well. When I think of this deal, I think of Gene Simmons' head exploding. The businessman that he is, that Queen just dwarfed his deal by more than $700 million. And I also think of, as I've mentioned before, John Deacon, who has basically been in witness protection for the last 30 years or more. Nobody knows from where he is or what planet he's on, what he's doing. Last I heard, he disappeared in like the mountains of Switzerland 40 years ago with some young chick, never been heard from since. But he never sold his percentage. So John Deacon, who's done nothing for 30 years, at least publicly on record or musically, when this deal closes, is going to get a check for about $250 million. Good work if you can get it. Yeah, what'd you do? What'd you do the last 35 years? No, nothing. I sat with a bird up in the mountains and, watched the trees grow, and it's been great. And yeah, today I got a check for $250 million, and it's all good. I just got my That Metal Show residual checks. They were 3 cents. And I also think of Freddie Mercury and his estate. Who owns Freddie Mercury's estate? They're getting a check for $250 million. Now, if you watch the biopic, Freddie Mercury gave a lot of his estate to this woman that he was friends with. He left her a lot of control of it. I don't know if she still has it or sold it. I have no idea who gets Freddie's money. I mean, that's insane. Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, Kiss, you name it, pale in comparison to this deal. Not even in the stratosphere of this deal. And making this deal even more incredible is, these deals have been all the talk in the music industry now for a number of years. But some of them have not been lucrative. Some of them have imploded. Some of them have not been smart deals. Some of the companies who have made these deals are having financial trouble right now. So the thought was, well, everyone's going to get a little more conservative doing this. Not Sony. Sony gave Bruce Springsteen $500 million and they're about to give Queen over $1 billion. Unbelievable. It is good to be Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon. And it is really good to be whoever owns Freddie's cut. Unbelievable.